There are times when you can go so far down the rabbit hole that you're not seeing what you think you're seeing because you're
Definitely.
watching so much of it. But I think you got to watch a baseline of it just to get a sense of what you're looking at. And like, give you an example. Coming off the bye week, I've got the NFL Plus. I watched the All 22 on Jacksonville against Pittsburgh. I took their last 3 or 4 games going back to the Houston game, and I just wanted to see what they're doing exactly and how they're moving the ball, how they're stopping teams. I'm going to share this screen again on the Brian Baldinger because I think if you say Jacksonville, you think of Trevor Lawrence, you think of Etienne, you may think of Calvin Ridley, but in reality, it's not those guys.
Niners get ready to head to Duval this weekend.
This is Baldy talking a little bit about Evan Ingram, and this is exactly what I'm seeing. If you watch Evan Ingram, now he was a good player at Ole Miss. He was drafted by the Giants. A lot of people thought he was going to have a bust-out career. It didn't happen in New York, but he's always had big-time speed. He now winds up in Jacksonville. They've lined him up 129 times. He's been their leading target, but he's been in the slot 411 times and online 129 times. This is how they're using Evan Ingram. Take a look at this.
Niners get ready to head to Duval this weekend. Like, they already know that no matter what you try to do to Trevor Lawrence, he's going to be as tough as anybody on the field. He's going to take that shot because he wants to get the ball down the field to Christian Kirk. But when they need a play, like right here on 3rd and 3, they're looking for Evan Ingram. Like, he's just going to sit down right in his zone, ball's coming right to him. All right, you pick up 5, you move the sticks. Like, their playmaker, right here, Patrick Peterson's going to cover him. It's going to be a clear out for Evan Ingram. All right, 3rd and 5, he wins the route, ball comes to him. It happens over and over again. Like, here you get this motion. So he kicks it out. Here you go. 2nd and 8, play action. You get on a pop pass over the middle. And then this. You watch this right here. Pittsburgh's in man coverage. Here goes Evan Ingram in motion. Here comes the safety dropping down, all right, to cover him. Like, as soon as they see this, they're like, oh, yeah, we got this, because he's going to run right away from everybody. Like, he runs well, really well in the open field. And big chunks come when Evan Ingram gets the ball on short passes and long runs.
There you go. This is what I kept seeing over and over and over again watching the Jaguar film in the last month. This is the weapon that has to be stopped. And this is kind of the weakness for the Niners. They may get a rush, but as you saw there, you got a tight end flexed out that's moving all over the formation, trying to seek mismatches. Peterson's a good offensive coach, and they're trying to give Lawrence that safety valve on every play, and he can just dump it to him real quick. And he keeps his shoulders square. He's not even really dropping back. He's just surveying the field. Oh, there's Ingram. Boom. And that play right there, or that player, is the kind of player that is giving the 49ers fits right now. Their coverage, they want to get home on the quarterback on a 3-step drop and a tight end that's floating. The ball's coming out so quick that you should not even think about getting to the quarterback. The coverage has got to be hugged up tight on Ingram and all the underneath stuff. To me, if the Niners win that matchup against Ingram, shut him down, take him away, force them to go in a different direction, I think the Niners win. If he has the same stat line he had last week against Pittsburgh, 10 catches, 88 yards or more, I think Jacksonville's going to win the game. How are the Niners is it going to be Isaiah Oliver? If you're Wilkes, how are you matching up with Ingram?
Yeah, so a couple of things on this. Doug Peterson he's always been a part of a West Coast offense. So he was the backup for Brett Favre when Green Bay was running a West Coast offense. And then he went from Green Bay to Philadelphia. He was their starting quarterback to kind of bridge the gap between them going to Donovan McNabb after they drafted him out of Syracuse. Andy Reid has always really liked to utilize tight ends. Chad Lewis, Brent Selleck. When Doug Peterson was the coach of Philadelphia, he had Zach Ertz, and they utilized him a lot. And Evan Ingram's always been a really freakish athlete, very solid player who has a lot of ability, but he's a better player now at Jacksonville than he was with the New York Giants. He was a 4-4 guy with New York. That's why they drafted him out of Ole Miss. I believe they used a 2nd-round pick on him. He dropped so many passes, and Jacksonville got him on a contract that a lot of people thought was rich at the time because Ingram was dropping tons of balls with the New York Giants. But Doug Peterson has always loved utilizing a tight end. It's kind of that West Coast offense and the backbone of it, or at least a very important element to it. And you think back to that Minnesota game, San Francisco had absolutely no answers for TJ Hawkinson. And then Irv Smith, before the bye week with Cincinnati, they had no answers for him. And the Niners have a slot nickel cornerback problem. They're really missing Jimmy Ward this year. I thought that Isaiah Oliver was going to be a solid option. He's been putrid. Second worst rated cornerback in the NFL. And over the last 4 games, on 8 targets, he has allowed 8 catches for a completion rate. Easy math. I failed elementary algebra in college. That's 100%. And throughout the season, he's giving up a completion percentage of about 86%. And teams against the Niners during this 3-game losing streak, they understand that the Niners have a lot of dogs up front. They're mitigating that pass rush by getting rid of the ball quickly so that the pass rush is not able to get home. It's a tall week for Jair Brown to try to guard Evan Ingram, but I might experiment with it a little bit. There's also this with Jacksonville, and this kind of goes into how they utilize Evan Ingram. Trevor Lawrence has been really good against zone coverage this year. He's number 1 in QBR at 77, second in completion percentage at 76%, and 4th in EPA on passes. Against man, though, those numbers dropped to 24th in QBR, 22nd in completion percentage, and 21st in EPA per passes. And on some of those clips that we just showed you from Brian Baldinger, Evan Ingram is finding that soft spot in the zone, and he's that security blanket for Trevor Lawrence. So I'm not sure who's going to be able to guard a player like him because Oliver doesn't have the speed or the coverage ability to stick with him. Do you go with Demo in the slot a little bit and you try to go Ambry Thomas on the outside? That's why you and I were talking about San Francisco adding a corner going into the deadline. But this is going to be a tall test, and I'm with you. Like, this could decide the game because that just allows Jacksonville to extend possessions and move the chains and keep the Niners offense, which has struggled to find and maintain a rhythm during this 3-game losing streak, on the sideline. And I think that when Kyle Shanahan isn't able to find that groove, he doesn't see the game as clear. I think that him as a play caller changes because he gets a little bit more tense because he just wants to make something happen. And this Niners team offensively is a team that's been pressing over the last couple of weeks. I think that's been pretty noticeable.
I think you got to muddy everything up in front of Ingram. So wherever Ingram is on the field, maybe you want to play some stunting games up front so that you're flashing the quarterback's face. Maybe you want to drop a linebacker into that hook zone and kind of make him at least aware that
all pro Fred. That's your
Fred,
assignment this week. Maybe just tail him all day.
Yeah, just and just put yourself, it's like in basketball, stay between the man and the bucket. In this case, stay between the quarterback and Ingram. And don't allow Lawrence to have the easy throws, because not only does he go to this guy, and not only does the guy have ability to run after the catch, but a lot of these throws are not that challenging for Lawrence.
Yep.
They're just real easy throws. And Jacksonville has so much speed on the outside with Ridley and Kirk that you're worried about them beating you down the field, but they don't make explosive plays or nearly as many as you would think, considering they have the speed that they do. They're moving the ball up and down the field with Ingram. They're dominating the time of possession. And, and Ingram's a major part of what they do. I think you got to somehow figure out a way to, bracket coverage him, change the look in front of him, try to flash some defenders across Lawrence's face, try to muddy that picture for him, because if he's just got a clear beeline to this big, fast, tight end in motion, they're going to play pitch and catch all day. And, Bosa, you could have Bosa, Chase Young, you could have, Charles Haley, Fred Dean, you can take any edge rushers you want. If a guy's getting it out in 2.4 seconds, you're not getting him.